Hey, and happy Friday, everyone. I am so glad you guys are here tonight. Bree, I've been thinking about you, and let me just start off by saying I wanted to get some answers to some questions from Bree tonight for sure concerning sprouting. However, I'm going to be always 100% with you guys, and my back is, God, it's such a mess. And I'm scheduled for my ablation April 6th. I've already called once and said, can you move it on up? I'm high priority on their cancellation list, but I still have to wait for a cancellation. So I couldn't help myself. I took some medication probably about 10 minutes ago. So I want to ask a couple questions while I'm still kind of like, I'm going to be making lots of notes and where I'm not kind of, I don't know, spacey, sloppy, something like that. I don't like this particular medication and because it makes me feel weird. But anyway, so first things first, happy Friday Night Live, everybody. And thank you again so much for being here. Glad to have Anthony and Kim back as well. We missed them last week. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing I want to ask Bree is about sprouting the broccoli seeds that I got. Now I know that Bree, you said it, I'm doing it for all the health reasons. And I know that you said you do it in a mason jar. I'm wanting to do it in a wide mouth pint jar just because I think a mason jar, a quart jar is going to be a bit much for us right now. I just want to try my hand at it before I really get going. So you said something about, if I'm remembering correctly from your email, that you do it on, I cannot do this tonight, that you do it on the jar side. And I'm not understanding that. Because I thought it would have to go this way and we would have to put like cheesecloth on top. So I'm not sure. I've read the directions and I don't understand. So I need your help. So that way we can educate everybody that is on tonight. So that's a good thing. But yes, until I will give you a moment to think about that. And I hope also, Bree, that you're feeling much better. How was my week? Thank you, Anthony, for keeping me in check because I just feel like I'm all over the place right now. Bree, no, you need the space. It's only a teaspoon of seeds. No tilt. Tilt it so water drains out on a plate. Okay. So if I take a quart jar, all right. So I'll use the quart jar and just the teaspoon of seeds. But you lay the jar on its side and just let this water. Oh, so you're keeping very little water in the bottom, just enough to cover the seeds. And don't you need to like rinse them a couple times a day? I will use a quart jar. I'm starting to be able to see that in my head at the moment. I'm waiting on Bree. Anthony, this week has been tough. But I know yours has been too, I believe. We missed you last week. Mine's mainly just my back has just been screaming at me. And the dog is laying here beside me. He has stepped on something, and we were giving him Epsom salt baths on his left paw as best we could today because he doesn't like it. So we're trying to get that figured out, and we have a tentative visit to the vet on Monday, but we're trying to avoid it like the plague because vet visits are expensive. And when you have 3 dogs and you just try to only do it as absolutely possible. But I hope you had a good week after everything you've been doing. Um, oh, you had your first, you had your first colonoscopy this week. Oh, I'm glad you got good news. I had a terrible experience with mine, but it went great. Well, I'm glad. I'm very glad. We lost a very, very precious friend this past August to colon cancer. She was young, but it's hereditary in her family. So I'm very, very happy that you got good news. Anytime someone has testing, and I do believe in testing for stuff like that, that is the most wicked, evil disease there is. Okay, Brie, rinse the seeds and tilt for any water to drain. Okay, so I'm going to rinse the seeds and I'm going to tilt my mason jar, quart mason jar. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm not doing good tonight. And tilt for any water to drain. Rinse the seeds and tilt for any water to drain. Okay, so they'll be kind of all probably like laying up in the middle of the glass. You only need to soak the seeds for 4 to 5 hours, then only rinsing twice a day. I shake the sheet. Okay, it's starting up. I shake the seeds in the jar so they are separated. Okay, that's not tilted. What's tilted? Is this not the tilt you're talking about on its side? Hey, Mom. Better late than never. Brie, I just want to make sure that I get your tilt. All right. Keep going. All right. So it's not this tilt. Is it fully upside down? Is this it? Oh, gosh. I am so messed up tonight. Okay. All right. I think I get it now. And then that way. Okay. All right. So you tilt it like upside down, basically, and you rinse it 2 to 3 times a day. Do you put cheesecloth on your bottom of your jar at all? But tilt so air can get in. So just kind of like if you leave it tilt it like on a spoon rest or something. I'm gonna get this. Anthony, I've told Bree she should make a YouTube video, and she says that she's a doer, not a talker. But she is a wealth of knowledge. So that would work. Yes, exactly. All right, I got you. And Anthony, every time I learn anything from Bree and I make a YouTube video or whatever, or, I always shout her out because I'm not ever going to we're always learning, all of us, and I'm never going to take credit for what somebody else knows. But no, Bree is a huge wealth of information, shared knowledge, and I love it. Before we get any farther, because I had to write some things down tonight, there will be no Friday night live next week, March 6th. Yeah, Dean and I are not going to be available for that, especially, obviously, Dean doesn't do the lives very often, but we will resume the live on March 13th, and Dean will be with me on that live, and I promise you're not going to want to miss this one. So make sure you're tuned in on Friday, March 13th for our live. Of course, I will have some videos in between there. I'm getting ready to edit one tomorrow. I will get that up. And there will be another one out. So I'll have 2 videos before this next live stream. But stay tuned and join for that live stream, because I promise you it's not going to disappoint. Okay. Oh, I'm going to miss you guys. Yeah. But I promise you, it's all for a good cause. I wouldn't just bail on you for no reason, and tonight's a perfect example of that, but I hurt like the Dickens, but I just wouldn't miss hanging out with you guys for anything. Let's see. Anthony and Kim are going to a dill pickle festival in Kansas this weekend. Please tell me what a dill pickle festival is. I'd like to hear about that. And you guys must be having some beautiful weather. We got up to 60 degrees today. And just as a side note, this glare on my glasses is coming from the track lighting. Everything else, all these windows are shut. 83 today. Hey, I am all about this warmer weather. I am not ready for summertime weather yet, but this springtime weather, I'm here for it. Let me tell you, because I'm tired of being cold. And especially when my pups are starting to get into the soft ground and stuff like that, it's very easy for them to get like a goat's head. It's what we call them. It's a nasty thorn. It's very easy for them to get that during the cooler weather when the ground is softer. When the ground is hard out here, they can basically just kind of brush it off. No problem. But my poor baby, he's got something in his paw. Anyway, Bree, don't let the seeds clump together or they will mold. God, don't want that. That's why I said shake the seeds so they stick to the sides. Okay, what do you do when they start to sprout? Is it going to, since the jar is upside down, is it going to kind of be like a greenhouse effect? And how big do you let them get before you snip them to eat? I've wanted to try this for some time, and I've never gotten around to doing it because we're not big sprout type people. Like I'll eat some on a salad. I've heard it's great for putting on a sandwich. Last year, our lettuce, we didn't have it as long as we did the previous summer. So I thought, this would be great to be able to have sprouts in case my lettuce bolted and I could still have sprouts. When they get as long as you want them, then put by the window so they will get green. Oh, so you don't have to keep them in the window the whole time then. Oh, tell you this, no snipping. You eat them whole. Okay, you like them 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Huh. So what about the seed at the bottom though? Do you eat that too? This is going to be a whole new world for me. I'm very excited to learn this. And keep them in a dark cabinet. No problem with that here. Keep them in a dark cabinet until they sprout, and then put them in the window so they'll get green after that. Bree is the girlfriend that when you learn something new like this, you say, you know what? Just come over today. We are going to have a kitchen day. If Bree did a video call with you, she could show you how to do this and you could do it on live. I want to know how to do it first before I do it for you guys. So that is very vulnerable, but I definitely want to know how to do this. Also, I am getting my hands. I'm looking into soap making. I want to do that. I've pretty much got the Homestead. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've gotten a lot of basics underneath my belt. I garden. I have chickens. We do all kinds of kitchen work, canning and preserving and the whole 9 yards. But I want to kind of extend that this year. I'm challenging myself, whether it be bees or I don't think that'll be this year, but I'm still looking into that. And I talked to Lynn. I don't know if she's on here or not. But she said the best way to do bees is to get a mentor. Lynn can't be my mentor though, because she's in British Columbia. I wish she could. But she's a wealth of knowledge about bees. Bree, back to the sprouts. Keep them in the cabinet until they get as long as you want them. Then it only takes a few hours with indirect sun to get really green. Wow. So this is kind of like instant gratification, huh? Oh, have Bree do it on camera with me, and then we can all watch her do it. Kim, and you are hopefully going to have maple trees in Vermont one day. You plan on making your own syrup. I've seen people in Michigan who have maple trees and that tap them. That is, wow, that is some good stuff too. And talk about selling honey, selling maple syrup. I think that would be a nice little side hustle, just like probably selling honey is. But there's a lady here who sells local honey, and I've been over to her house when she's gotten it from her hives and she's processing it. And that looks like some messy work, but I can see where it'd be a good side hustle because it's expensive around here. But we're starting to get, talking about side hustles, we're starting to get eggs almost in full swing. I have 11 birds out there right now, and the past couple days we've been getting anywhere from 6 to 8 eggs. That means almost everybody is laying again. I have a full basket of eggs sitting on the counter, and I have a couple dozen in the refrigerator. So that being said, last year selling eggs was my side hustle. And, you're not getting rich off a side hustle, but it paid. It kept them in feed and straw, and yeah. And, I had some money, a little bit of money left over. So just from selling the eggs, but I don't want to do that this year. I have plenty to sell. It was kind of a hassle, but we've got some things going on. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think it's where you live. If there's a lot of local honey or oversaturation of it, I think it's where you live. Out here, it's not oversaturation. I think it's just because of our climate. Yeah, I think it's because of our climate. Kim wants to know, how long do eggs last after they lay them, after chickens lay them? Well, you can keep them on your countertop for at least 2 weeks before washing them if you wanted to. And then when they go in the refrigerator, they can stay in there a good while. I keep mine on my countertop. I will use them like as needed. If whatever I don't use within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, I will wash and put in the refrigerator. The ones in the refrigerator I use last, just because usually those are the ones I'm going to hard boil, and you want your eggs to at least be 2 weeks old before hard boiling, or they will be a pain to shell. And I don't have an Instant Pot, so I still do it the old way. Here's a note. Fun fact for Kim is that most chicken eggs that you get in the store, before you even get your hand on them in the store, the freshest eggs in the store are at least 2 months old. And that's because the law allows the farmer 30 days to get it to the distributor, and the distributor has 30 days to get it to the grocery. So the freshest egg you're going to eat in the store is at least 2 months old. Brie, tip, use wide mouth jar. Yeah, I thought about that. And you add the water through the cheesecloth and then drain the excess water and tilt. The pantry might be a good place to put this. And it's pretty dark in there, just in case I have a little bit of spill or anything. It needs air so it won't mold. You know, I've got one of those. I got them from Azure, and the cheesecloth I could put on there, but I got some sort of screw lid from Azure for the top of a mason jar. And I got a couple of them. And initially it was for cheese. And I only used one for my Parmesan cheese. But I bet you if I put the cheesecloth over the top and then screwed that lid on, it'd stay open, and it has a little lip. So it'd stay open so it could get the air, and then but yet could kind of keep it propped up without it going all over the place. Exactly. That's what I thought. That's what I use. Perfect. Oh, thank you. I knew you could see me through. Oh, and to let you know, that chicken pot pie recipe out of the 70s cookbook, Dean, who is not quite a fan of chicken pot pie or shepherd's pie, he eats it, he doesn't complain, but he just says it's not one of his favorites. He was like, I think this is the best chicken pot pie you ever made. And I was like, really? And he said, yes. And so he liked the crust. He liked everything about it. And so that's Lynn said that was her go-to recipe for chicken pot pie. It's now mine as well. Okay. Yep. I will definitely use the pantry for the sprouts. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I will have to let you know how that goes. And maybe one day when I become a pro like you, I can make a video on it. But no, I want to get into some new things this year. I'm challenging myself to do some new things. And one of the things that I've always been shied away from was the soap making, because I was afraid of the lye. And I'm not a chemist, and neither is Dean. He was a physicist by education, so I was kind of afraid. But I watched another one of my friends make soap recently, and I think I can do it. So I'm gonna try some new things this year. But definitely, yeah, definitely gonna have some more exciting things coming up. The broccoli sprouts are healthier than actual broccoli. I hope they taste as good as broccoli. We love broccoli. I mean, seriously, we love it. We cannot keep it in here. Every time, I order broccoli from Azure, I get a 10-pound bag. And we're just about finished through one of our 10-pound bags. So yeah, if the broccoli sprouts taste just as good as the broccoli, we will be going through them, because they're not cheap. That 1-pound bag was $17. But I do understand if you're only using it, what would you say, a teaspoon at a time? That is a lot of broccoli sprouts. I keep looking over here because Dean just walked down here and he's pasting something to the refrigerator. As me being nosy as I am, I always want to know what it is, what's going on. So, Dean, Anthony says hi.
Hey, Anthony. Talking about the thing about the smoke detectors and alarms and what to do because they're so complicated.
We've had all kinds of bells and whistles going off in here tonight. So Dean being Dean, he made up a list. It looks a list of some sort, and he put it on there telling me what to do should an alarm go off. I know what to do. I say, hey, there's an alarm going off. You need to fix it. Anyway, I forgot where I was. We're talking about broccoli sprouts, chicken pot pie recipe. Got that. Did my meds in my back update. Yeah. So you guys going to talk to me for a second because I've lost my train of thought. It doesn't take long. All right. I really seriously have lost my train of thought. I know it'll come back. It's just going to take a minute. This is awful. This is so awful. It's a side effect of that medicine I'm taking. Okay, you aren't getting the block yet. No. I'm done with that. The first MBB went beautiful, beautiful. But when I went in there for the second one, he said he didn't want to give me the full block because he was going to schedule me for the ablation. And if I have the full block, then when I get the ablation and they call and they say, "How are you doing?" Did blah, 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 I won't know. So they said, let's just do lidocaine, which I wanted to cry because it wears off in 6 hours. But I was doing better then than I am now. It's just progressively getting worse day by day. I dropped something on the floor earlier and I could not bend over and pick it up. And then I was pouring coffee or something late morning today. And I mean, I could feel that muscle spasm and it was awful. So anyhow, so I got the lidocaine, he knows all the spots, what have you. But I'm having the ablation where they cauterize those nerves. I'm having that done on April 6th, hopefully earlier. But I've already called and said, does he have any cancellations? Because even though I'm on a cancellation list, the last time when I got my first MBB, I got in like 5 weeks sooner because I just kept calling every week. I was in a lot of pain like I am now. And I just kept calling and calling. And finally something opened up. And I mean, they were like, can you be here tomorrow morning at 7:45? I was like, yep, we'll be there. And so I'm kind of feeling that way now. But I do need to wait a couple days. And it's not scheduled till April 6th. I've already called once and said, do you have anything? No, there's nothing open right now. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it to April 6th. And they said, you're a high priority. And the first thing we have open, we're going to be calling you. So that's about Ashley. Sorry, guys. Julie. Guess who was 26 today? Ashley. I was thinking about her the other day and I told Dean, I said, oh my gosh. I said, Ashley is going to be 26 here soon. Julie, as you guys know, old friend of mine. We go way back and we were both waiting on our babies at the same time. Her little girl was born at the end of February and my little boy made his appearance 2 months later. And we kind of bonded over waiting for our babies. And the rest is history, as I say. She's my daughter's godmother. Ugh. Yeah, Bree, thank you. I was doing very well with that block. It was glorious. It was like just as good as having had the surgery. I mean, I was literally feeling like I kept having to remind myself, don't do this, don't do that, because your back's not fixed. You just can't feel it. I mean, I felt normal, and unless you have felt abnormal, you really don't know what that, it's hard to gauge that. But no, I'm back to where I was. And he told me that's what I needed to do because to have the ablation, I need to do that. So I just said, yep, I will put on my big girl pants and get these injections and it just be lidocaine. And it was really weird because the first time, I guess, because I had the block, I didn't have any pain from the injections, anything. This one, I felt, and he even said it when getting up off the table. He says, you feeling pretty beat up? I said, yeah. Because this time I got 8 injections instead of 6. I was counting as they were going in. And my nerves in my back hurt that night. I just felt like, I had static in my back just from, having gone through that. And, it is what it is. So I hate that saying, but it's true in this case. There's not really much I can do about it. So just looking forward. Yes, I'm looking forward to the ablation. Now, that being said, I had, with the first block, I had taken a Valium leading up to it because I was scared. And I didn't do it this past time. And I'm definitely going to have to do it for the ablation because I felt so bad every time he kept sticking a needle in the right, because it's bilateral on my right side only, not my left. I flinched every single time, and I kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." He's like, "Don't apologize." He's like, "You're not going to move any of these needles," but it just, felt so. I mean, I felt bad, but so I'm gonna ask for another one, especially if they're going to be cauterizing my nerves. I think that warrants one. Anthony, did I see the YouTube channel links I emailed you a while back? Yes. And I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to your email. I thought it was very interesting because a lot of times the feedback that I get from YouTube, that a lot of people who watch my channel also watch some of the channels that you told me. The one most specifically that stands out to me is More Than Farmers. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty spot on. And I've seen their stuff too. And yeah, just a wealth of information out there. Julie, you feel my pain. You're fighting off another kidney stone. Girl, that is 3. You had IV therapy to try to get it to pass naturally. Really don't want to go in for a procedure and be put under. Been there, done that. I hear you. I hear you. Dean had that done, that procedure done before we left Virginia. And then last week exactly was my 1-year anniversary of my back surgery. It just really stinks. I hate that you're going through that. I am so sorry. I wish there was some sort of thing that could be come up with to get rid of those kidney stones once and for all. Bree made a stone breaker for a friend, and he's been doing great. It broke down the stone breaker tincture. Okay, Bree, you got to share that with us. If you've got a tincture that'll break up a kidney stone, I've never heard of it, and I want to know because Dean gets them too. He hasn't had one since we left Virginia. Knock on wood. And I have this apothecary book, 250 different recipes, and I didn't see anything in there for kidney stones. And it did work. I believe it. I believe in that type of herbalism. I do believe in it. And that, I thought of Julie too, because I think we were talking offline about the honey herbal elixir that I made earlier this fall and that we've been taking. And I said, knock on wood, we haven't been sick this winter. You know what I also thought of? Every morning in my coffee, I've been putting in a teaspoon, just kind of a healthy teaspoon of the whipped honey. And I didn't do it for health reasons. I was doing it because it tastes so good. That whipped honey, I loved it. I'd seen someone else have it, and then I tried it from a local beekeeper here. And then there's this place out, it's a ways from here, but it's called Honeyville. But they started going to a locally privately owned market here and putting their stuff in there. And they have this cinnamon whipped honey. It's so good. And I thought, you know what? That's probably helping keeping me so healthy this winter because I put in a spoonful of that in my coffee every single morning. And I do believe that stuff works. I do believe in Western medicine, especially for issues like this. I do believe in that surgery that Dean had, that when he had no recourse to break up a kidney stone. And it sounds like Julie's are pretty gnarly, like his. Dean's, when that last one, we had to get broken up. He's passed some, but his was some sort of calcium. It was an excess of calcium, and it literally looked like an asteroid. I don't know how the man passed it without passing out, but it was like sharp, pointy edges. Yeah, it gets dangerous because you can rip, tear, you know, um, your ureter, trying to pass it. But they finally that past time it was just too big, and he had the surgery. So, but like I said, I've really, we've changed things up a lot since that was, oh my gosh, we were living in Virginia, but that was pre-pandemic. I bet you that had to at least be 2015. God, it's been that long. It had to be at least like 2015 because he stayed at my house while he was recovering. Wow. Yeah, so he hasn't had one since. So, but we've changed a lot about our lifestyle and our the way we eat and stuff like that. So, I mean, from time to time, he'll have something from the store, cookies or something like that, but it's not the usual. I mean, we don't go to the store that often, but it that is a painful thing. Julie, blocking the bladder is the worst because then you can get a UTI. Yep. And they have to go in with surgery for that. Yep. Yeah, that can get very serious. Besides just, yeah, you start backing up that way and you're headed for a lot of trouble. So I think that, like I've always said, like I've always believed, I don't downplay going to the doctor. I don't do it at every turn. I don't need to do it like I used to. But for things like colds, flu, whatever, I just try to stay as healthy as we can. When you have, and I will say this word because it was in my medical record and it upset me for some reason, but when you have a deformity, that's what my doctor called it, said that eventually I would have to have my deformity fixed. So, but we have something like that. Thank God they have, surgeons who have the talent to do things like this because otherwise it would be bad. My grandmother, I did not know this until I was older. She had scoliosis, and then it was also on her death certificate, just one of her ailments. And so for me, it just seems to be a hereditary thing, unfortunately. But yeah, it hurts like the dickens. So um, there was a medication I was taking um, before I had the procedure done, and it made me so, so sick. When I came off of it, it was great. And so I told Dean I won't take that anymore. And so just recently, I got some muscle relaxers because these spasms are out of control, and it makes me just a little off, just feel a little off. Um, and a friend who was here back in November, she was teasing me because I had taken two of them prior to this testing I was having done because it was like, MRI testing, but it wasn't an MRI. And it was that SPECT scan. And she was like, if I had two muscle relaxers, I'd be over here on the floor sleeping. And I'm like, when you go through stuff like this, you just get to a point that it doesn't affect you that way anymore. Yeah, I would just rather you get it taken care of, Julie. This might be a good idea. And of course, Brie hasn't come out with her recipe for her tincture yet. But like after you have this, like dissipated, however you do it, however they are able to break it up, maybe if you just took a little bit of a tincture every day to as a preventative, I would go ahead and have it taken care of now to get this one passed, but then I would see if it would work for you to do it as a preventative. Tell me the jar lid you got from Azure so I can check the hole size because you may not need the cheesecloth. All right, you're going to have to stare at my hutch for a minute. Let me go get it. I don't know what the name of it is. I can't remember. y'all can have a good laugh. Jeez. All right. It's that box, Mason Jar Lifestyle. And it's the lid where you can use for like cheese. And the holes, I got this little, brought out this little spice jar because it reminds me of the lid. And the holes are like this big. You can see that they're like that big, but there's like a dozen of them. And it's a wide mouth lid. I mean, it screws on just like this onto a wide mouth jar. So I would still think though to do the cheesecloth just for the sake of, I don't know. You tell me what to do and I will do it. That's where I am tonight. So, nothing better when you have kidney stone pain than going to the ER and get either morphine or Dilaudid drip. You feel no pain and you're in la. Let me tell you, that was the most horrible experience I ever had with Dean. He does not like needles. He's terrified of needles. I don't know why. My son is too, but my son has a reason. He had bacterial meningitis as a kid. And anyway, so I was trying to prep him because he was literally on the floor on his fists like this and sweating. And I was like, okay, they're going to get you some morphine, but it's going to be in a needle, Dean. You're going to have to, man up for this. And he was on both of his fists on the floor and they came with that needle and they shoved it right in the top of his hand. He didn't even flinch. I was like, okay, then. But yeah, no, he left there feeling great and he had to wait 5 days for his surgery. So he was in a lot of pain as soon as that wore off again. They say lemon or citrus is good for breaking down kidney stones, but when I have too much citrus, you get GERD. Yeah. Trying to think, because I used to have that problem, having GERD, but that was because of my liver. That was a liver issue for me. And now, I can eat it, no problem. So I have to look, and I'd have to look. I'm not sure because it sounds like you're in that horrible place that I was at one time, whereas you're just in that horrible cycle, that circle of, this causes this from just a long time of stress and diet. And God knows if anybody has stress, it is you. So I'm hoping that things are starting to go better on your end. But Julie's always got stuff going on. She's the busiest person I know. Those holes are too big, so use it with the cheesecloth. Okay. All right. I will do that. I will definitely do that. What about, it's like almost a cure-all. I'm going to look it up before I say anything because I don't want to misspeak. But Bree, can you tell us about that tincture? I'm thinking this would help, but okay, Julie, I was thinking this because I was thinking, okay, if the citrus bothers your stomach, it gives you GERD, what have you. And I thought, okay, what is another acid that's strong? Apple cider vinegar. Have you tried that as kind of like a preventative? I know that there's a lot of different opinions on it relieving any pain or breaking anything up. But as a preventative, if you could find some stuff to put it in, it might help. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm just going off of what I haven't had kidney stones, but I've gotten Dean where he hasn't had one in a long time. And I knock on wood because you never know what can happen tomorrow. Yeah. But, apple cider vinegar, it is so good for you for so many things. So I would just try it, or once you get this taken care of. But I hope everybody in your family's starting to do better. Been thinking about you a lot, especially with Ash's birthday. Cannot believe these kids are 26. Yeah. My son is going to be 26 at the end of April and is getting pretty serious with his girlfriend. So it makes me feel excited but old at the same time. Stress. Yeah, Julie laughs. Stress. She doesn't even know what the word means anymore. Yeah. I guess when, besides having a stressful job, I don't know a lot about too much about her job, but other than that, she works a lot. But being the spouse of somebody that has a very high stress job, like her husband does, and again, I want to make sure I get this right, because I'm not thinking clearly. He's a sergeant over the homicide division in DC. I think that's because that's what I tell people that ask anyway, or people I talk to. But that is a highly stressful situation. And, you think about it, it's one thing to go out and it be your job, but think about it being your spouse's job. And every day, and she's been seeing him off to that job for a long time now. So I think that's a double whammy in life. Part of the issue was drinking water. I don't drink enough of anything a day. Going for these are, yeah, you need to drink some water. I did not know that. You need to drink some water, and I know it's easier said than done. And also, you could drop some lemon juice in that water. Use lemon juice, not lemon juice concentrate. Buy a lemon and squeeze in a teaspoon. It does change things. Also, what changed my life about water was using the Brita filter. It's just, I don't have a super expensive filter system, the Berkey filter. Those are fantastic. But this one, once you get the contaminants out of your water, it tastes completely different. I can drink water now without any ice in it because I keep it, of course, in the refrigerator. But I cannot drink, tap water anymore because the Brita water filter has spoiled me so much. And I think I told you guys that I got that when Dean cleaned the cistern out, and I could smell the chlorine, and so it made him nervous. So we got the Brita Elite, and yeah, it changes things. So you need to drink some water. Yeah, I'm gonna be on you about that. Yeah, the lemon. You don't like lemon? Who does not like lemon? Okay, these are the herbs that she used. Turmeric root, okay. Stonebreaker root, never heard of that one. Pipsawea leaf, hydrangea root, ginger root, parsley root, turmeric, and yeah. So there's only 2 in there that I haven't heard of. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Brie. And what do you use it in? What is the base you use? The binder. Thank you. that you use for that? Or do you use one? But thank you for that. Yeah, I got that book, 250 recipes, Home Apothecary. It's been great. Vodka. That's what I use as well. Is the vodka. I think that's what works best for me, I find anyway. Except when I'm doing things like the honey herb elixir. That made it taste real good. So, and it did work. I didn't have Julie sold on it. Yep, I did not have her sold on it, but I told her, I said, see how it works. Don't know. So far, so good. You know, a lot of times I think back and I think, what would we do? You know, I have to learn this stuff. I have to educate myself on this because what would we do if, you know, a lot of our systems are, what do you call them? A lot of our systems that are modern now. What if they just, you know, we didn't have it? And somebody say, that'll never happen. Well, nobody ever thought COVID would happen either, but it did. So you don't know. Nobody knows. I would rather be prepared than not. You know, they all laughed at Noah until it started to rain. So that's the way I look at it, is that it can't hurt me. So I'm going to go ahead and be prepared. Lynn, you were always scared to try something to help pass your kidney stones. Oh, you got them too. In case it got stuck. So just suffered through it. Thankfully, they haven't bothered me for years now. So do you attribute that to your diet, the reason they haven't bothered you for years now? And I'm glad to see you on, by the way. And if so, not sure why they haven't. Okay. Dean had a list of stuff like the doctor told him to eat, not to eat, and he didn't pay attention to it. But yeah. Yes, you have about 15. Yeah, it's your medicine cabinet. Yeah, we're kind of like that too. I need to get another cabinet because this bottom portion of the bottom shelf all the way back is my herbs. So yeah. And the butterfly, oh my gosh, the butterfly pea flower and lemon is so easy and it's great for inflammation. And that is 90% of a lot of people's problems. And they don't realize they have inflammation. But when your body systems aren't working right, 90% of the time there's some inflammation somewhere. Right. It won't go bad since it's in vodka. Same way with when we made the honey herb elixir, because with the honey being the binder, it wouldn't go bad. But I am a true believer in a lot of this stuff. I'm, yeah, try it, Julie. It can't hurt you. At least that's a good thing. And I'm not sitting here like being a hypocrite because, I've been taking a muscle relaxer because I've been doing all the things and I'm doing the best I can, but it hasn't gotten it to subside completely 100%. And it won't until I have the final big surgery, the reconstruction that my niece had summer before last. She's a brave soul. Hers just got so bad she had no choice. She would have been crippled by the time she was like in her early 20s. So my brother and my sister-in-law, they had her have it done. So she was young though. It's a lot different having a completely reconstructive surgery at, I think she was 14 at the time versus my age. I'm old enough to have a 26-year-old, which is hard to believe because, oh my gosh, I was only a couple of years older than that when I had him. So God, it's hard to believe. It just doesn't feel right. It just feels really strange when you have kiddos growing up. It's one thing when they leave home, they move out or whatever, and that was hard with him because I didn't want him to move out, and he was just all fired up to have his. He was going to be independent at 18 no matter what. So he's very stubborn that way, but he's okay. He was always okay. Um, but I was still okay with him like living outside the house because it's like, well, you know, he's fiercely independent, but he's still just a kid. He's still just a kid. And now it's like looking at him thinking, wow, you're old enough to be somebody's father. That freaks me out. And it's been hitting me here lately. I guess since I'm hearing him talk about being serious with his girlfriend, and he's dated this girl for a long time. It kind of is putting things in perspective for me. So, anyway, they dated through high school and then stopped and started back up again after they grew up. So, anyway, that was um, kind of me rambling on tonight. I feel like I've been rambling most of this tonight, and I'm so sorry. But I'm doing everything I possibly can do naturally, holistically, and at the same time, I'm taking a prescription for it because it's not it's not kicking the pain, and it's too much pain for me to sit with all the time round the clock, um, because I truly wouldn't be able to move. Um, my sleep is broken right now. I'm getting 5 hours of broken sleep, stuff like that. It's just a mean um, situation to have, you know, when you have a part of your body that doesn't work because it's deformed, then makes it difficult because there's other parts of your body other parts of your body overcompensate, trying to keep you straight, and then those muscles, those tendons, those everything hurt. And then when I went, I think I told you guys this, but when I had that SPECT CT scan done, they found out that I have a facet joint issue as well, and I think that's why I got 8 needles instead of 6 this past time. So we're just going to cauterize the nerves. Then that should do me good for a year. It should buy me a year of pain relief, and we'll reevaluate then. I can't think about a big surgery like that right now. It's too. The last surgery I had this time last year, the 20th of February, is too fresh in Dean's mind. I had a very, very hard time coming out of anesthesia. Um, your surgeon can be awesome, but your anesthesiologist has to be as well. Um, Anesthesia can kill you. So mine almost did. So, yeah. You use the deep sleep tincture from Azure for my sleep issues. Been using it for about 3 years. My sleep, mine is because of pain. The pain, I can't get into a position. I'm in the recliner. Um, I can maybe find a position and then it starts, shooting pain somewhere else. It's just a mess. My back is just a mess. And I need to get it figured out so that I can live a normal and productive life. Because like right now, there was a video I wanted to film today, and I am going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it. But it's just like when you are in pain, Julie can attest to this. Bree can attest to this. She just went through something. It sucks the energy right from you. And like, Dean lets me, when I finally get to sleep, he leaves me alone until I wake up on my own because he knows half the time that, he knows my sleep is broken. He can hear me moving around, that type of thing. So, but it drains you more than just of the pain. It's like mentally, emotionally, I get very angry because it's harder. harder for me to get down and sit up and down in a chair. And that is ridiculous. I'm not 100 years old. It is ridiculous for me to have problems bending over to pick something up off the floor. I'm not 100 years old. So it's hard to contend with. And especially after coming off of, a block that just was working so beautifully. Bree, we'll be praying for that cancellation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am, Dean, as we all are. But thank you, because I need it. I need some relief. Bree, you did the grocery store today without the electric cart, so you're better. That is awesome. That is awesome. You are getting there. Yeah. I went, when did we go to pick up that prescription, Dean? Thursday? But you're getting a little too familiar when I didn't even recognize the man at first, but we were walking down the aisle because there's something he needed to get. And I was there to get a prescription. That's it. And he told me, walk in front of me. Dean said, walk in front of me. I said, well, I don't know where you're going. I'll walk behind you. Plus, I walk behind him because I can't keep up with him. I can't walk side by side with him. And he hates it because then he feels like he's leaving me all the time. Well, this man walked by and he was just like, hi, how are you doing? And I'm like, okay. And I was like, Dean, who is that? It was the pharmacist. It was the other pharmacist. I didn't even recognize him. But when you're out and about in the store and the pharmacist recognizes you, it's saying you better get that fixed. And so you can stay off their radar. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, it is 6:02, and I feel like I've prattled on enough tonight. We've talked about a lot of rambling about a lot of different things is how I feel about it right now. And I'm starting to fade a little bit. But I've gotten some great knowledge here from Bree. I'm going to get on that with my quart mason jar, wide mouth, and let you know how that goes. Remember, no Friday Night Live next week. None. We will catch back up on the live on March 13, and it is going to be a good one. So make sure you're here. And yeah, I will have a video coming out soon and then one next week. And then we'll be all caught up with everything. But anyway. All right, guys. Good night, everyone. Good night, Bree. See you in 2 weeks. Looking forward to it. You take care too, Lynn. Thank you. Good night. See you guys on the return. Should take you a week to sprout. Thank you, Bree. Hey, I will, if I have any other further questions, I'm going to email you because I'm doing this on your advice. But I appreciate it. And thank you for holding my hand through it. Thank you, Anthony. Okay, guys, everybody take care. And I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Talk to you later.